Welcome to Lesson 6 of the class Dutch Pronunciation for Beginners, Consonant Letters. In this lesson, we'll learn the main pronunciation and spelling rules of two consonant letters, D and T. These letters are taught in the same lesson because they have certain similarities in pronunciation. Let's first look at the letter D. In general, this letter is pronounced as a voiced consonant, D. It's the same as the consonant in the English word do. Now let's look at three examples. Dam, dik, doof. There's an important exception to the basic rule that I just explained. If the letter D appears at the end of a word, it's usually pronounced as a voiceless consonant T, which is the same as the consonant in the English word at. Let's practice three example words. But, moet, note. Next, we'll look at a special situation involving the letter combination DA. If this letter combination appears in an unstressed syllable, many native Dutch speakers pronounce it as je. Let's look at two examples. Goedemorgen, rode wijn. In such situations, you may also pronounce the letter D normally as D. So you may also say Goedemorgen or rode wijn, although this is less common. Another letter combination that's worth mentioning is DS. This is usually pronounced as a voiceless consonant ts, which is the same as the last consonant in the English word ants. For example, sinds, wederzijds, Nederlands. Now let's proceed to the letter T. In general, this letter is pronounced as a voiceless consonant T. The Dutch consonant T is very similar to the consonant in the English word T, except that the Dutch consonant T has no aspiration. If you don't know the difference between aspirated and unaspirated consonants, please watch lesson 4 in which I've explained the difference. Now let's look at three examples. Tak, teen, toon. There is an important exception to the basic rule that I just explained. If the letter T appears at the end of a word, it should be pronounced with aspiration. So in this situation, the letter T is pronounced the same as the consonant in the English word at. Let's look at three examples. Kat, maat, not. The letter T may appear together with the letter H to form a letter combination. In general, this letter combination follows the same pronunciation rules as the letter T. For example, dans, thema, theoloog. However, this rule only applies if the letters T and H belong to the same syllable. If the two letters belong to two different syllables, then they can't be combined into one consonant T, but should be pronounced separately as T and H. For example, juistheid, onthouden, onthullen. In fact, whenever it's mentioned in this class that a certain combination of letters is pronounced as one consonant or one vowel, then such a rule usually only applies if these letters belong to the same syllable. For the sake of simplicity, I won't point this out again specifically in the rest of this class. The letter T may also pair together with the letters EA to form a letter combination. If this appears at the end of a word, it's usually pronounced as T. In this situation, the letter T is pronounced as a voiceless consonant ts, which is the same as the last consonant in the English word ants. Let's practice 3 example words. Moci, policji, noticji. There's an important exception to the rule I just explained. If the letter combination TEA at the end of a word is preceded by the letter C or P, it's usually pronounced as si. In this situation, the letter T is pronounced as a voiceless consonant S. Let's practice 4 example words. Actie, infectie, optie, perceptie. Another important letter combination is tion. If this appears at the end of a word, it's usually pronounced as tion, although some native Dutch speakers pronounce it as tion. For example, the English word station is pronounced as station or station in Dutch. If the letter combination tion is followed immediately by a vowel, then the letter combination teo is usually pronounced as show, although some native Dutch speakers pronounce it as chill. For example, nationaal, functioneel. Alternatively, you can pronounce these words as nationaal or functioneel. The last letter combination that we'll look at in this lesson is ts. This is usually pronounced as a voiceless consonant ts. As explained earlier in this class, it's the same as the last consonant in the English word ants. Let's look at 3 examples. Plaats, slechts, toets. Well, that's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.